Welcome back. All but one Great Northern Conference football games were played last night, but today Merrill hosted its homecoming game on a day where temps reached nearly 90 degrees. So let's head to Jay Stadium. The Lakeland Thunderbirds on the road facing those Blue Jays. We'll go second quarter. Blue Jays already up 7. The T-Birds are driving. Tyler Carroll looking to throw. It's his second game at QB after Lakeland lost Michael Ouimet for the season, but his pass is intercepted in the red zone by Cade Bonnell. And the Blue Jays make the turnover count. Zach Moots rolls to his right, finds Nevada Lobbs, one of my favorite names in the Northwoods, for the short-range TD pass. And the PAT makes it 14-0 Merrill. Third quarter now. Merrill driving again. Moots behind his own line, powers in for the 1-yard TD run. Referees give the signal, and the Blue Jays take a 20-point lead. Then next drive through the air. Moots to his right finds Josiah Knorr with some space. He makes the catch, heads into the end zone. That's another score. Blue Jays fans are loving it, but they didn't love this. Austin Wanty now playing QB after Carroll left with an injury to Garrett Holtz down the sideline. That's a 70-yard score, but it's just too little, too late. Merrill tacks on some more points to win this one by the score of 44-6. Now, Moots said the win helped Merrill stay within striking distance of first place Antigo.
We got to make sure we keep on practicing practice, getting hard work in practice. So, yeah, if we lose another game, I mean, we got them in that season. We want to take them home.
Moots finished the day with 6 total touchdowns. He and the Blue Jays are back in action next Friday on the road against Rhinelander. Be sure to tune into Newswatch 12 next week to find out if his big day will earn him Athlete of the Week honors. The Antigo Red Robins girls tennis team won its first ever GNC title this afternoon. In doing so, they snapped Rhinelander's 7-year championship run. But the Hodags didn't go down easily. Antigo won the conference tournament by just 3 points. Maya Gadeke was named the conference singles player of the year, and Abby Robrecht and Taylor Arrowwood won doubles players of the year after winning the doubles title. Next up for Antigo and Rhinelander are subsectionals on October 2nd. We head to Miller Park now, 91 degrees for the Brewers and the Cubs. Brewers coming off 2 straight 10th inning losses to Chicago. We'll start in the first inning. Brewers on the board first. Eric Thames singles to right. That brings Neil Walker around to score. Puts the crew up 1-0, but in the second inning, like the Cubs have done so often in this series, they respond. Ian Happ with a single of his own knots the game at 1 as the run comes around to score. We'll jump ahead from here all the way to the 9th. Cubs up 2-1. Wade Davis on the mound, and Orlando Arcia at the plate deep to left. That's Gonzo, ties the game. It's the first blown save for Davis since September 2nd of 2016. Over a year straight without blowing a save. Bullpen loving it. Arcia loving it. We'll go to the 10th inning. Cubs up 1 again. Still Davis on the mound, but not for long. And as Bob Uecker likes to say, get up, and get out of here. Travis Shaw wins it with a 2-run walk-off shot to left. Milwaukee wins it 4-3. And here's more from Shaw.
Last 2 games have been tough. We let both of them slip away. We had both those games won. And today, I mean, there's not many games left, and we really needed this one, and huge win for us.
Huge indeed. The win pulls the Brewers within 1 game of the Rockies as of right now, who are losing to the Padres for that second wild card spot with just 7 games to play. And they're back at it tomorrow for the final game of the series against the Cubs. To the football field, the Packers will hope for better luck tomorrow than what they had last weekend. Green Bay will host the Cincinnati Bengals tomorrow afternoon, coming off a 34-23 loss to the Falcons. The Pack will very likely be very short-handed with 7 different players listed as doubtful on the injury report. Meanwhile, the Bengals will look to find the end zone for the first time all season as they go for win number 1. So, Felicia, the Packers will look to bounce back from last week's loss, but they're going to have to do it a little bit short-handed.
A lot of sports going on, a lot of sayings. My favorite was Gonzo.
Yeah, well, you got to mix it up.
Got to mix it up. Thank you so much, Mark. And coming back, we'll have your final check of the forecast.
Welcome back. That sound you heard this afternoon was a sigh of relief from Packers fans across Wisconsin that this team can, in fact, win a football game without Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback. Newswatch 12's Katie Lazinski was at Soldier Field today and has more.
The Packers knew coming to Chicago that this was a must-win game for them. They snapped that 3-game losing streak and won 23-16.
It's big for us to respond and to try to start feeding off of one another as a team.
One way that the team responded was by sacking Bears quarterback Mitchell Trubisky 5 times. 3 of those sacks came from outside linebacker Nick Perry.
The adrenaline is rushing after you get the first one, so you feel like you can't be stopped. Every opportunity is the best opportunity to make those plays, and so I was just excited to to go out there and put my best foot forward.
After being unsatisfied with their performance in the past few weeks, the whole defense wanted to put their best foot forward against a favored Bears team.
We knew what we were going to get into as far as them running the ball. And, I mean, to be completely honest, I feel like that's what our defense has done very well.
With just over 5 minutes left in the game, quarterback Brett Hundley threw a 17-yard touchdown to Davante Adams to make it 23-13.
So much of it is momentum. So I think for us to respond and make sure we kept putting points on the board and kept putting pressure on them, it was big.
The Packers are back at Lambeau next Sunday for a noon kickoff with the Ravens. We're covering sports at Soldier Field. Katie Lazinski, Newswatch.
All right, so here's a look around the rest of the NFC North today. The Vikings picked up an impressive road victory with a 38-30 win over the Redskins. Case Keenum tossed 4 touchdowns in that game. Meanwhile, the Lions topped the Browns 38-24 in Detroit. So because of those games and a few others, the Packers don't really gain any ground in terms of playoff positioning. The Eagles still lead the NFC at 8-1. Then there's a bit of a logjam in the middle as just one game separates 6 teams, including Green Bay. The Packers currently sit 9th in the conference, and remember they need to make it into the top 6 to qualify for the playoffs. Wisconsin basketball got back on the court tonight for the second game of their season. The Badgers moved to 2-0 at home with a win over the Yale Bulldogs. Wisconsin stormed out to a 42-22 lead in the first half and pretty much cruised from there. Khalil Iverson led the way with 17 points, but Bucky did have 4 players in double figures, including Ethan Happ. That must be encouraging for the Badgers as they try to replace Nigel Hayes, Bronson Koenig, Vito Brown, and Zach Showalter from last year's team. They'll get their first big test of the season on Thursday when they host Xavier. Now to beautiful Phoenix Raceway in Phoenix, Arizona. There's no snow on the ground there. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s career, it's winding down, his second to last race. He got a big ovation as always. We'll jump late in the race. Another guy whose career could be almost over, Matt Kenseth, says he will not race in 2018, but he raced his way to victory today. The Wisconsin native wins the Can-Am 500, and here's what he had to say about it after the race.
Just got one race left. Everybody dreams of going out a winner, so we won today. Nobody can take that one away from us. It's a heck of a race with Chase there. It's been quite the journey here the last 20, and thank you fans, I appreciate it.
Kenseth will race his final race next week at Homestead Miami Speedway. So Dakota, the Packers win, the Badgers win, and a Wisconsin native gets maybe his last NASCAR win ever. Not bad for Wisconsin sports fans.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. Thank you, Mark.
Welcome back. Packers fans waited and waited and waited for today. Aaron Rodgers finally back from his broken collarbone and just in time for the playoff push. Right? Playoff push? Packers and Panthers in Carolina. First quarter is where we go. Packers looking for that playoff push. Panthers up 7 here. But Rodgers fires a rocket to Davante Adams, who hauls it in for the score. Number 12's first touchdown since week 5, the week before he got hurt. Second quarter now, Rodgers under pressure, uncharacteristically launches one off balance. That's picked off, so he gets his first TD and his first interception all in the first half. But late in the half, down 3, Rodgers to his right finds Randall Cobb as he's hit. Check out these moves. Cobb shakes and bakes his way into the end zone. That's a touchdown. Packers take the lead. Now we jump ahead to the 4th. Packers down 14, but Rodgers hits Richard Rodgers for a touchdown, cuts the lead in half. Now they only trail by 7. Then the onside kick bounces around. Mason Crosby does a nice job, and the Packers jump on it. Green Bay recovers. The Pack is still alive until Rodgers hits Geronimo Allison, who fumbles. He would have had the first down if he held on. Recovered by Carolina, and that would do it. Panthers go on to win by the score of 31-24. So Rodgers' return to the field didn't exactly go as planned for the Packers. The 2-time MVP tossed 3 interceptions for the first time since 2009. After the game, Rodgers said his injured right collarbone had nothing to do with his performance, but he did take a large portion of responsibility for the loss.
I'm proud of our guys for the way they played the last few weeks. Today, disappointed I didn't play very well. Obviously, I hold myself to a high standard, expected to play well. It's good defense, but I made too many mistakes.
Another focus of today's game was Davante Adams suffering another concussion on a questionable hit by Carolina's Thomas Davis. Davis blocked Adams with a helmet-to-helmet contact after a Panthers interception. After the game, Mike McCarthy was asked about that hit.
I didn't see the replay of it. I was by the reaction of our sideline. I know a lot of guys felt it was a dirty hit, so I'll have a comment on it after I see the video.
It's the second time this year Adams has been a victim of a questionable hit. He was concussed on a blindside tackle against the Bears back in Week 4. As of now, it's too early to tell when Adams will return to the field. So with the win, or the loss rather, here's a look at the NFC playoff standings. The Packers sit down at the bottom of this list at 7-7. The Eagles and Vikings have already clinched playoff spots, while the Rams, Saints, and Panthers are right on the verge of doing that as well. But that doesn't mean there's no chance at all for a Packers playoff berth. Here's what Green Bay needs to happen to make the playoffs. First, the Packers must win out. They must defeat the Vikings and the Lions. That would make them 9-7. Now, if they do that, they'll need all of the following to happen. They need the Falcons to lose their remaining 3 games, including one tomorrow night. Then they'll need the Seahawks to lose 1 of their 2 remaining games. And finally, they need the Cowboys, who just won on Sunday Night Football, to lose 1 of their 2 remaining games. That would make the Packers, Cowboys, and Seahawks all 9-7 and give Green Bay an advantage with the tiebreaker and put them into the playoffs. So there is still a chance. And there's one team that seems to be on a good track to the playoffs here in the Northwoods. It's Lakeland Tomahawk girls hockey. The T-Birds have established themselves as a favorite to win the Great Northern Conference. They've beaten 2-time defending conference champion Northland Pines twice and are on top of the GNC so far. The T-Birds say summer club hockey helped them prepare for this season.
We're really excited. We've never won conference. Last year was our first time beating Pines, so it is a big year for us, and we're hoping to do good things and finish strong.
Thunderbirds beat Medford 9-0 yesterday afternoon. They say they use big wins like that as a chance to keep improving for the future.
This last game was not the most competitive game, but it was important to keep our feet moving because we have a tournament in Christmas break. We're playing some pretty competitive teams, so we can't go into that game with slow feet.
Lakeland's boys and girls teams will travel down to Madison for that tournament on the 27th. The opponents in that tournament have yet to be determined. So, Dakota, a rough day for the Packers, who are still barely alive in the NFC, but some of our Northwoods athletes are enjoying fantastic seasons thus far.
Thank you, Mark. We'll be right back with a final check of your forecast.